Winter is coming. We know what's coming with it. You need to prepare. Everyone in the house must know how to turn off the water. In our Tualatin Valley Water Kingdom, every customer has a shutoff. Find your shutoff now. Learn how to use it. Winds of winter will freeze your pipes. Close the foundation gates and cover your hose bib. Fortify your castle by insulating pipes in unheated areas. Indoor castle pipes can be warmed by opening cupboard doors. Join me on the Night's Watch. Water can come from anywhere. Be the shield that guards the pipes of the realm. Your watch shall not end until all leaks are reported. For this night and all the nights to come. Winter is coming. Prepare. Winter is coming. We know what's coming with it. You need to prepare. Everyone in the house must know how to turn off the water. In our Tualatin Valley Water Kingdom, every customer has a shutoff. Find your shutoff now. Learn how to use it. Winds of winter will freeze your pipes. Close the foundation gates and cover your hose bib. Fortify your castle by insulating pipes in unheated areas. Indoor castle pipes can be warmed by opening cupboard doors. Join me on the Night's Watch. Water can come from anywhere. Be the shield that guards the pipes of the realm. Your watch shall not end until all leaks are reported. For this night and all the nights to come. Winter is coming. Prepare.
Good afternoon and welcome to today's edition of Talking Water. The topic of our informational presentation today is going to be winter weather preparedness for your home. And we have some great presenters with us today. Before we get to those folks, we're going to tell you a little bit about the Microsoft Teams platform in case you haven't used it before. If you're joining us by a computer, you have some controls where you can raise your hand or you can type your question into the chat. If you are joining us by phone, we will allow you to ask questions unmuted towards the end. During the presentation, we just ask that everybody stay muted so that we don't get, these feedback loops going between different computers in the meeting while others are trying to talk. And we just want to remind you that the session is recorded, and we are a government agency. We operate with a non-discrimination policy, so we just ask that you keep any comments free of profanity or anything that we would need to exclude in order to comply with that policy. So we're going to get started right away. Today joining us, we have Pete Boone. Pete is a professional engineer. He works here as the Chief Operating Officer, and he has worked at Tualatin Valley Water District since 2008. He's held several roles, and throughout his tenure, he's worked on a wide variety of infrastructure improvement projects. And he currently leads our teams who operate all aspects of the water system, from engineering and operations to distribution and construction and maintenance. He has degrees in forest engineering and civil engineering from Oregon State University. And in his free time, he's also a volunteer firefighter and EMT for Forest Grove Fire and Rescue. And he and his wife, Selena, live in Forest Grove. Our next presenter today is going to be Mike Edian. He's been with Tualatin Valley Water for 20 years. He's also held a variety of positions, and he has a great understanding of how the district's water system works. He started as a meter reader before he moved into our construction and maintenance crew, and he currently holds a position as a field customer service lead. And that's the team that responds out in the field to everything from broken meter boxes to potential leaks and all sorts of field customer service issues if you're not sure where your meter is, and then as well as overseeing the meter reading function. He also has his Waterworks Operator Distribution 2 certificate, and he is one of 2 of our water operators who are featured in the national award-winning Game of Seasons Winter Prep video, among other efforts such as he has hosted our employee charity auction. And so in his free time, Mike spends time with his family. He coaches youth football, and he also engages in woodworking. And he's also on a never-ending quest to find the perfect tacos. So he'll probably take recommendations there in the chat if you have any for that. So we're here talking about winter weather, and someone brought up, the snow miser would be a good thing to feature, So we're bringing that character in as the person or the entity that seems to have the ability to control cold weather. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to you, Pete.
All right, thanks, Andrea, and thank you to all of our customers who have joined us today as we talk about your water system. You might think of it as our water system, but truly it's yours, and we just have the pleasure of operating and maintaining it for you. So Mike's going to talk about a lot of things about how you can prepare your homes, but just briefly, I wanted to talk about what we do to take care of the water system on a system-wide level. So in terms of resilience and being prepared for any type of emergency that might arise, we do that from a variety of standpoints, and really in no particular order. We've got a lot of ways that we try to mitigate risk here. One of those is with regional interconnectivity. So we share borders with a variety of cities and other agencies that all provide water to their customers. And we have our systems tied together. That doesn't mean that water always flows back and forth, but we have the ability to do that. The water that we serve goes through several different treatment processes to make it safe for consumption. The water from the Joint Water Commission, that's our system to the west, goes through a conventional filtration plant and is treated with chlorine to maintain a barrier against any kind of organisms growing in the water. And the Portland Water Bureau sends us water from the east. That water is also treated with chlorine to prevent any kind of bacterial growth, and then that stays in the water as it moves through our system and prevents anything from cropping up. We got backups to a lot of our systems. We've got automated controls, so there's a computer system that's overlaid across the water infrastructure and provides some automation and control so that it can basically operate itself remotely, so it can respond as things change throughout the system. I talked a little bit about our water sources, so we've got several of them. We've got the Joint Water Commission, we've got the Portland Water Bureau, and you may have heard we're working on developing a new one in partnership with Hillsborough and Beaverton, and that'll be the Willamette Water Supply System, and you can find a lot of information on our website about that. We work with our partner agencies, like we talked about interconnectivity, but we also share other resources. So people, equipment, and information. We work together with our partners to make sure that we're all prepared. If we do have issues with our system that impacts our ability to get water to your particular home or neighborhood, we've got systems that we can deploy to distribute water and have folks come and receive that and take it away in containers. And we perform drills and training to make sure that we're prepared for any kind of issue that may arise in the system. And lastly, we do events like this. So we try to help our customers be prepared in their own homes, and that's what Mike's going to focus on today. So Mr. Etienne, take it away.
Okay, hopefully everyone can hear me. And Pete, I remember to go ahead and unmic myself so everyone can hear me today. Welcome everybody. Welcome to Talking Water. This is your cold weather edition. And I guess my goal today, or our goal as a district, is to provide insightful information to each of you, provide a little bit of a basic overview of what we do as a district to prepare ourselves in the event that there's a cold weather event. And along those lines, I'd like you at home to start thinking how you can prepare yourself now to put yourself in a better position before we move into the months that might provide a little more of a challenge to us. So I want to be aware. I want to be aware of everybody's time and courteous that and allow for some questions at the end. So we'll make sure to get to those questions and make sure to jot down your notes as I move ahead. But as we plan ahead, so I'll go ahead and start advancing the slides. That might help a little bit. We try to prepare ourselves or put ourselves in a position that is going to make us more effective out in the field should we run into large-scale events during these inclement weather periods. We modify our activities, and we take the steps that are necessary to mitigate unnecessary risks. So some of the things that we do here at the district, setting de-icer around our facilities, that's pretty much the basics of how we act as far as what you can do at home that is in relevance to acting in cold weather events. A lot of our responses will initially come in the form of no water calls. So when a freeze event happens and it occurs over a couple of days of where the weather isn't really necessarily getting above freezing, we'll start to receive the no water calls, and then that is typically followed by the burst customer pipes. When the thaw happens, that's when it gets a little bit more busy on our end. Equipment preparedness for us. Vehicles play an integral role for us. We ahead of time, we'll start chaining our vehicles and we'll have our proper PPE. You at home may look at this as an opportunity here. In November starts next week, believe it or not. So is the time to start looking at snow tires, chains, traction type of equipment to have in your vehicle. PPE, all of our staff are equipped with the proper clothing that they're going to need to perform the functions out in the field. But you at home, and now is a good time to start thinking about keeping those extra coats and those gloves and everything else, in your vehicles, so that if you have an event where you slide off the road or need to abandon your vehicle, you're a little bit better prepared. And then, of course, we have specific tools. We'll get into that a little bit more in the slides. We use propane torches as an example to kind of thaw out frozen meters in the event that is actually where the where the frozen water line, or where the line is frozen at the time. But we are going to advocate that to not use open flames, especially in the house. That's proposes a safety risk. Moving forward, this is just a coverage. You joining us today might find yourself somewhere located within this map, within our water district here. And I guess the purpose of this map is to sort of identify that we position ourselves so that we can more effectively and efficiently respond to your calls. During these times of inclement weather, we will hold off on responding to any non-emergency calls and put our focus on the no water, low pressure, active leak type responses. And we'll position teams and groups so that they are within these located areas, so that they can effectively and efficiently respond to your calls, instead of coming from our home base office here in about central, located here on the map. The inclement weather, the command center, this is essentially what we set up so that we can isolate and streamline that forms of communication amongst our staff. But I'm thinking ahead as to how this would relate to you as the customer. If you have or are experiencing bad weather, and say you have to go out to a store, communication is key. Letting your loved ones know, family, friends, that you're going to this specific store, and so that there's more of a level of awareness. Making sure that when you're going out, you have your phone fully charged and that it's with you. Maybe a vehicle charger, so that if you need to call somebody in an event of emergency, you're able to do so. We use typically iPhones as our forms of communications, and we use push-to-talk handheld radios as a backup method for our communications and working through our command center. It's critical. It's beneficial to recognize that these are not planned outages. How can you help us? You can help us by being more prepared as much as possible. Storing water in your home, 14 days is what's recommended, but if you're a family of one, that may be a little overkill, and if you're a family of 10, then that may not be enough. So now's the time to start looking at ways to provide food, or to prepare and have food, water in your garage, have it located so that if power goes out, if your water goes out because there's a main break, you're ready to sort of ride out until our response can mitigate that repair. We're going to respond and prioritize our calls. We respond to, if we have a few hospitals within our district that we have to make sure that are running smoothly, and then of course providing that water service to our fire and rescue. But rest assured, we will get to your calls. Every call that we receive, we do treat it as a priority. We'll just have to respond accordingly. Weather, it doesn't matter. Ice, drought, heat. If you're not thinking about where your water's coming from, we're doing our job and we're doing it effectively. And everyone is going to have, in terms of some form of crisis, whether the leak is in their front yard or down the street, that's going to be a priority type call. Luckily, we've never been in a situation where we really had to respond to multiple leaks at the same time. I mean, we've had some scenarios where there's 2 or 3 going on, and we're able to assess and prioritize and respond to those accordingly. But we will get to it in a timely fashion, and we're very good at what we do. I like to take pride in ownership in our response times to fixing and repairing leaks. But something that you can do at home to help yourself and help us is to find your emergency water shutoffs in your house. And there's 3 pictures here that are sort of depicting what you might find in your house. And it's also possible to know that you may not actually have a valve in your house. A lot of times it depends on the age of the house. Some of the newer homes, meaning 20, 25 years or newer, may have a valve inside the garage that looks something like this hand valve on your left or in the middle, where there's a ball valve. Usually they're kind of located along a wall in a garage, sort of by a water heater, but that could vary from house to house. And some of the older homes, maybe they were put in the 70s and the 80s, it might be more common to find a valve near the foundation of your house. So now is the time. I know it's a little wet outside, but if you find a dry day in the next couple days, go put some eyes, if you haven't done so already, around your house and try to identify if you have a personal shutoff valve on somewhere located in your private side. Of course, blocking foundation vents is important too, because it slows down that cold airflow that might otherwise get underneath the foundation of your home. Any types of exposed pipes that you have are very susceptible to that cold air, and they'll likely be the first pipes that freeze first. So, hose bibs. This picture on the top, we call it a water faucet or a hose bib or a spigot. This is something that is exposed to all the elements. Should be one of the first things that you identify and cover up now. Home Depot, Lowe's, Ace, True Value, they all carry these covers. You can throw a little towel inside to put some additional insulation, but you really just want to protect it from the cold air that's going to circulate around it, and that could cause a leak somewhere, freeze your pipes, and then followed by a possible break thereon after. And then, of course, insulating any hot or cold pipes. They have these foam covers that you can put over your pipes under your house or in your garage that might be a little bit more exposed, and that will help out tremendously. And then, of course, the little things that you can do in your house is opening up cupboard doors. A lot of our faucets, our bathrooms, but primarily our kitchens, are often located near an exterior wall. So that cold air is constantly hitting the outside of the wall. And I think opening up those cupboards inside your home will allow your room temperature, the air temperature inside the house, to get to those pipes a little more effectively, and that'll help prevent some possible freezing of the pipes, along with a slight drip of some of the furthest faucets inside the house to help prevent freezing, because moving water won't freeze. Moving on, we have just a level of awareness. If you have neighbors, be a good neighbor. If you know that there's a neighbor that's away for a while, or you have a neighbor that typically works during the day and you're home during the day, just keep an eye out during these cold weather events and see if check on your neighbors, make sure there's nothing leaking outside of the garage, outside of the houses. And then, of course, give us a call at any time. We are responding to calls 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. We always have 3 individuals that are on call to respond to events. And during a freeze event, we will actually raise that number if necessary, if the call volume starts to increase. Flushing the toilet is a good little tip. Just if you do have a line, say you're going to be gone for some amount of time, and you want to shut your water off, it does pose a little bit more of a risk to freezing your lines because water isn't moving at that point. But if you do choose to go that route, say you're going to be gone for 2 weeks, I just suggest flushing all the tanks in your line. Allows for a little bit more room of expansion with your lines, just in case they do break, and it can negate the possibility of your line freezing a little bit. And then, of course, irrigation lines are susceptible. If you haven't done so, have your backflow specialist come out and help drain your irrigation lines, so that when you turn them back on next June or July, there aren't any mystery leaks that are popping up. I guess last but not least, what I really want to focus on, because I do want to allow for allow some time for questions, is don't try to avoid calling 911 if it's a water type of event, meaning that you're experiencing no to low water pressure, or that you're having a scenario where you're having an active leak. Please reach out to the water district and give us a call. We respond very quickly to those types of calls, and we need to leave those lines open for first responders to respond to more life-threatening type events. If you are experiencing frozen pipes, but you are aware that you might have some pipes that are exposed in the garage that you think might be likely the culprit, feel free to take a hairdryer to it. That might help alleviate that frozen pipe. Open up a couple faucets, but again, call us ahead of time and ask us if you think that you're taking the right steps to resolve your issue. And again, we'll follow up with a visit out to your site. And with that, I think I've covered all the rest of the material. Plumbers, if you do experience an actual leak, it's our suggestion that you contact a plumber afterwards and have them perform the repairs. Once that repair is performed, you can contact our office and inquire about a leak adjustment policy, which we do have, and it helps to negate some of the higher bills that are associated with costly wasted water during a repair type event. And that is all I have. So Andrea, I'm going to hand it back to you, and then we'll take it from there. So thank you, everybody. I appreciate your time, and I really appreciate you joining me today.
Well, thank you, Pete, and thank you, Mike. For those of you that joined, we gave a little brief explanation. If you're joining on a computer or the app, the controls up at the top under reactions is where you can raise your hand and we can call on you. If you are joining by phone, you don't have the access to that chat. You can also type your questions into the chat. So just go ahead and unmute yourself. We try not to talk over one another, but if you're on the phone, you can't see, you know, what else is going on. So we're just going to open it up and you can ask us any questions about winter prep or about your water system. Justin Dyke from Communications, he's going to moderate this. So I'm going to introduce him real quick and mute myself. So we're looking for any questions you may have.
Hey, Andrea, yep, thanks everyone. And really want to encourage everyone to add their questions into the chat and or raise their hand. We'd really like to get some great questions from the audience today. We've got great experts between Mike and Pete and the rest of our team. So please go ahead, use that chat function and we can read those questions out and then we can also answer them. But as of right now, there's not any questions. So really hope that we get a couple here in just a moment.
So, excuse me. Hello, everyone. My name is Frank Reed. I'm the communications coordinator, Tualatin Valley Water District. And actually, I have a question that I'll go ahead and get it started. So, Mike, if somebody doesn't know where their water shutoff is at their house or they can't find it, what is the best thing for them to do?
That's a great question, Frank, and I actually appreciate that you asked that because that's a common question that we get quite a bit. I would suggest, first of all, contacting us today. Contact us within the next few weeks. We're very friendly. We're customer service oriented, and we really enjoy engaging with our customers because we know that it's going to help you. It's going to help us in our efficiency. We love to visit and show you what we think where your valves might be. We encourage staff to not necessarily enter any homes, but we can peek into a garage and let you know if we think that you have a valve or do a little assessment around the foundation of your house. I think those along with just calling the office and asking for some advice from our friendly office staff suffice pretty well, and that would be my first suggestion. Reach out to neighbors if you have a friendly neighbor and you're not comfortable calling the water district. You might have a neighbor that you're friends with, and if you live in a subdivision that's somewhat similar, if they have a shutoff valve, they might be able to help you as well identify where your valve is. And keep in mind there is a valve located on your gas meter. And your gas meter is typically attached on the side of your house, and there's a valve on there. And I think a common misconception sometimes is that homeowners will get on that valve thinking it's a water meter, but that's actually your gas. So you want to avoid shutting that off. Typically, your water meter will be in the ground, and it'll be normally it's located on a lot line, somewhere near a sidewalk or a corner of your lot. I'd say that's probably about 80% of our district has a meter somewhere in that location. And then of course there's the one-offs, but now's a great time to give us a call for that.
And speaking of that, Mike, we did get a question about what is the best phone number to call to have someone come out and do exactly what you're talking about.
Absolutely. Our office number is, Andrea, I don't know if it was provided in the slides at all, but our main office is 503-848-3000. Ask for our customer service and inquire about a visit from the field. They'll create a work order and we'll be more than happy to come out and visit. If you call during our normal business hours, that'll be the typical response that you'll receive. With the same number, if you call us after our normal business hours, it will direct your call to a third party, and that third party will relay that messaging to our after hours staff. Now, if it's a customer service request for a friendly visit, we may push that visit off to normal business hours because our after hours staff are reserved for emergency type of events. But you can still rest assured that your call will be logged and we can follow up the next business day.
Awesome, thanks, Mike. And I see the chat, the phone number's been put in there a couple times as well. So for everyone listening in, the phone number for that main office line to have a field worker come out and help you find that locate or that shutoff valve is there, 848-3000. Just one more call out. Let's see if we can get any more questions for Mike while we have them available to us this afternoon. And I'm not seeing
I just want to, if I can highlight one more thing now, I want to thank everybody for joining. So we do get the occasional customer that is not quite sure if they're a TVWD customer. They might be nearby, say Hillsborough or Beaverton. So again, we can help you with that. If you're a little unsure as to who your water provider is, or if Tualatin Valley Water District is your water provider, give us a call. We can look up your account information and determine that. And if not, we can point you in the right direction as to who your water provider is and how to proceed.
And I think we got one question from someone who wants to unmute. We got one from Faye. Faye, go ahead. What's your question? You might need to...
Hi. So my mom missed the webinar. Is there any way that we could rewatch it when she's available?
Yes, absolutely. We will record that, put it on YouTube, and we'll send the link out.
Okay, great. Thanks.
Again, we just want to thank everyone for joining us today, and we will stay on if you have questions. You know, we're happy to answer any questions. It doesn't have to be about winter prep. While we're here, we just want to be available to you. But if we don't have any more questions, then we're gonna end up signing off.
I think we might have another question.
This is Amen. So I was wondering, what is the current wait time for customer service to respond to a house call prior to an event?
That's a great question.
Right now, prior to an event, it's within 48 hours for non-emergency calls. It would be less than 24 hours if it was something urgent. And like after hours calls, it's about 30 minutes.
And then also, is there a cost for that?
No, it's part of your water service.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you.
Okay, I think with that, we're gonna give it a wrap up for today. Again, thank you for joining us. And if you do need to reach us at any time, our number is 503-848-3000. We would be happy to assist you. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.